Coffee is for leaders.
If I want to buy a pair of sneakers and from a German company, I'm probably not going to buy those sneakers from a German website, right? But if it's translated well into my language, whether it's English or Spanish or whatever, then yeah, the conversion rate goes up dramatically in that circumstance.
Bryan, thank you so much for coming on the show. You're the CEO of Smartling. You've had an impressive career at eBay. You've done a lot of incredible things, actually. Let's talk about how your journey and how you became the CEO of Smartling. Let's start there.
Yeah. So just, real quickly, Smartling, we're an AI translation platform that's transforming the $50 billion translation and localization market. If you've ever done it before, traditional translation is slow, expensive, and time-consuming. So our customers, which are companies like IBM, Disney, Verizon, Pepsi, Tesla, are using Smartling to automate translation across all of their platforms and for a fraction of the cost and turnaround time of traditional translation. So that's really what we do. And myself, alongside with Battery Ventures, started looking at this whole space about 4 years ago. And the more I looked, the more I got excited about it. If you kind of look at my background, I do really like coming into markets where things are kind of like maybe a little fat, a little slow, and disrupting them with software. And we really saw that opportunity here and generate great outcomes for our customers.
Give us a sense for the state of your market, where it's at. Like translation services, seems like AI would be pretty great at that and kind of leading the charge. And maybe you have an advantage by starting there and you don't have the old software. Give us a sense for where Smartling fits in and kind of their advantage in the market.
Yeah, so Smartling's been around for 10 or 12 years, a cloud native company, really good at machine learning, really good at neural machine translation. And machine learning and neural machine translation are forms of AI.
Oh yeah, it's been around forever. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I like the joke that we used to be able to, we could do things faster and cheaper, but not better when it came to translation, right? So it's the innovator's dilemma kind of thing. And then along came AI, and I remember that Saturday morning when OpenAI released GPT, started playing around with it. Immediately, my entire leadership team was going back and forth on Slack going, holy smokes. And really what we recognize its potential, once again, because of this background in SaaS and machine learning and NMT, we recognize its potential to solve certain linguistic problems that we couldn't do before. And that was the big unlock. And so that was a couple of years ago now. And now we're doing some really remarkable things where we're able now to produce translation that's faster, cheaper, and now better than human translation standalone. And that's really been the big unlock for us. And that's what's driving a lot of this movement away, because I think that most companies, they ration content to get translated. So once again, it's pretty expensive. It's like 20 cents a word, and it's pretty slow. It's pretty arduous process. But with our ability to do it now, leveraging all of the software, neural machine translation, and AI, we're able to help them unlock content, and that helps drive global growth for them across their different markets, because now they're able to translate more of their digital footprint. They're able to improve engagement, conversion rate, etc. It kind of stands to reason. The story I always kind of use is if I want to buy a pair of sneakers and from a German company, I'm probably not going to buy those sneakers from a German website, right? But if it's translated well into my language, whether it's English or Spanish or whatever, then yeah, the conversion rate goes up dramatically in that circumstance.
Give me a sense for how you think about AI. Where are we going here? I mean, you've been in the tech industry for a long time. Like I mentioned before, and why I think Smartling has such an advantage is it's been around for, particularly machine learning and neural learning and the things that you're talking about has been around for a while. And starting as a cloud first company would give you a huge advantage there. But man, like you mentioned, when Chat GPT first came out, that's a game changer. And now it seems like every day there's wild innovations happening. How are you thinking about it? What's your take on the future of this thing?
Yeah. I tell you what, I'm old enough that I've been through a few cycles, right? So, this is on par. The commercialization of AI, I think, in my opinion, it's on par with the commercialization of the internet. There's been a few phases like the commercialization of the internet, mobile, cloud, and now this is this next kind of like next thing. And I think I see it being, I don't think I'm saying it hyperbolistically, is to say that I think it's going to be the most significant productivity enhancement mankind's created to date. It's just, the more I look at it, the more I see the speed at which it's being developed, the amount of capital that's getting poured into it is wild. And you see how fast it's progressing and how fast it's being integrated into our economy, into technologies. I think we're going to look back in 24, 36 months and just be like, wow, I can't believe this has happened.
Pretty unbelievable, huh? It's pretty crazy. I don't know that it takes people's jobs, though. I mean, it may take some people's jobs, but it seems like it's like you said, it kind of enhances our ability to do our jobs currently.
I do view it as a productivity tool. If you look just to kind of like, put it into context of our business, right? So it enables us to produce about 8x more translation for the same budget for our customers, right? So you can think about that as being, now our translators are 8x more productive using this AI software tool, right? Which is massive. And if you said, hey, Bryan, what do you think that's going to look like in 12 months? I'd probably say it's probably going to at least double that. So typically what I see happening and when you have these transitions, right, it's this principle where as cost and utility improve, utilization goes up. Jevons paradox, right?
Right.
So we saw this with data storage, cloud services. As that price comes down, utilization goes up. I think we're seeing that in we are seeing that in our industry. As we bring the cost down, the efficiency up, our customers are unlocking content that they would like to have translated.
What does a typical day look like for you?
It depends. It depends if I'm traveling. Now in the summer, I'm not traveling that much, but I hit the road. I travel extensively globally. Our customers all around the world, starting in the fall, which I enjoy. But now, I like to get up. I get up early in the morning. I read a lot, so kind of like general news, business news, and obviously industry news. Try and get a little bit of a workout in, and that kind of gets me going for the day. And then I try and run the business, and I learned this a while back ago using an operating plan, which the pillars are, go to market, customer experience, building product, finance, and people, right? And so that's sort of like the pillars of our operating plan. I sort of orient my day and my week around moving that forward and focusing on that with the teams that are mostly responsible for doing that. And that to me has been a formula that's really worked for me over the last several years.
What books do you read? Do you have any recommendations for us?
Well, I have a couple. So like 1 to 0, Lessons from the Top. James Citrin did a really nice job talking about leadership. Obviously the standards, good to great, all that kind of thing.
How do you think about culture? Are you an entirely remote team, hybrid? How have you thought about that? How have you navigated that since the pandemic?
I think about it all the time. We are, we're mostly remote. We have an office in Dublin, but we've been a very distributed company for a long time, and I've always operated within a distributed company. So establishing culture is really about creating the right systems and mechanisms internally. And I think we do that. I think it's also really important that each person has to have a really clear KPI and be measured against that, so that and management knows, hey, is this person, are they being productive, right? Because you can't see them, right? So we have really good KPIs and measurement systems across the company. And so from a culture perspective, like we don't make up things like, hey, we're going to do a virtual happy hour, like any of that kind of stuff. We try and build it authentically through doing good work together on teams. And then we actually do something pretty fun. Once a year, we'll get together in a really nice place, like a resort in Puerto Rico. And we spend 4 days together as a team doing training and just, rebuilding, kind of like recharging our relationships. And that works out pretty well.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, that's fun. What recommendations would you have for CEOs and leaders who are trying to expand into international markets? You've done that a lot throughout your career. What should they be thinking about? How should they be preparing for that type of thing?
Yeah, there's really a solid framework for doing that. First, you have to be getting some kind of demand signal from whatever market you're looking to go to, right? So if you're, let's say you want to go to the EU, like you want to make sure that you've got some kind of demand signal coming from there. And then I'm a big believer in putting boots on the ground there, right? So having someone that's responsible for that country, a country manager that can start advocating for their position, creating budget, start standing things up, and just understanding the lay of the land. So you really want to you start with someone there that could be responsible for it. Once you get that demand signal, then you start spinning up your motions, right? Your go-to-market motion, your product motion, your customer experience motion, all of that, your people motion, to really start building that out. So that includes salespeople, includes customer experience people, marketing people. But it's hard to ask people to do part-time work, right? I'm a big believer that you got, like, if you ask someone to do the job, that's the job that they're doing. And then obviously translation localization plays a really big role in that. We see that, the typical stat is that, 87% of people prefer to consume content in their own language. 60% of people won't buy it unless it's in their language. So you have to have translation localization of your website, of your marketing materials, of your product and application. You've got to have that stuff translated and localized. Otherwise, you're going to face a really tough slog. And, once again, we kind of talked about it before. It used to be like really expensive and really like just a big time suck. Now with, with cloud-based software, AI optimization, it's really become it's become much more part of the process and not the kind of cumbersome task that it used to be.
Yeah, for sure. Give me a sense for how you think about your values, your mission as a company. I mean, we kind of touched this on culture, but what's the mission of the company? Has it evolved over time? How do you think about that? How do you keep that aligned? How often are you reviewing that?
Well, we talk about it. We talk about it every all hands meeting. That's how we start our meetings, with our mission and our values. And I'm a big believer in orienting around customer outcomes. So for example, I didn't invent the idea, but I stole it from Jeff Bezos. Famously the empty chair in the room, and I try and bring that to life as much as possible. So when we talk about our mission is not to build the best translation management solution. Our mission is to help our companies grow globally faster, right? So we start with that. So what are our customers' KPIs that matter to them? And we even try and start our sales conversations with them is sit down. What are your goals? What are your KPIs? What matters to you? And sometimes they might say it's about speed, right? It's taking too long for us to be able to ship multilingual versions of our software, or it might be cost. We can't get to as much stuff, or it's a quality problem, or a combination of the above, right? So understanding what those are, and to your point, like what's your KPI? What's your business KPI? How much revenue do you need to go get in Japan next year, for example? And we help them work backwards into that. So long story short is the mission is to help our customers grow globally faster, and we really help put together a strategy to help them achieve that goal, because that's what they're trying to do. From a values perspective, Jack Welty, the founder of this business, he came up with a set of values several years ago. I walked in the door and didn't change any of them, right? Because they're great. Things like good today, better tomorrow. Constraint breeds creativity. Take care of your people. Those are fundamental values that are very similar to ones that we've come up with, or I've come up with in the past, and they matter a lot to people, and so we try and live by them.
Yeah, that's incredible to just walk in and have those values already instilled. What did you learn at eBay that you've brought to Smartling?
Two things. I think that eBay was such a great machine, meaning we measured everything extremely well. And so as an outcome, we're constantly grinding out better and better outcomes. But I'll give an example of it was a failure of mine, and then it turned into a great learning, which was I was given, as vice president of vertical markets, my task was to generate like $2.6 billion of incremental GMV for the year. Okay, big number. And I came back to the board with a plan that had 100 things that we were going to do to go make that happen. And the president at the time, Devin Winnick, said, Bryan, there's no way we're going to do 100 things. I can't even do 10 things. So go back and figure out how to get this done with no more than 6 initiatives. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. And I'm like, how am I going to ever do this? I went back and reworked the plan with the team all around the world. We came back with a list of 6 things that delivered on that goal. And when last time I checked, we were at 106% of plan. So the big learning for me on that was you can't do everything. You can only do a few things in an organization, and you can do it at scale. So bigger numbers, bigger impact, fewer things. That was one of the big takeaways for me at eBay. It was an important learning.
What's the economic outlook been like for you? I mean, given that you're in, all these various countries, and we have weird trade deals all the time and tariffs, and there's been economic uncertainty since COVID, up and down. How have you thought about that? How are you feeling about it now? What do you think the future is leading to? Are we going to continue to have some uncertainty? Are we going to kind of like flatline and have a little bit of certainty? How are you thinking about it?
I think that we're going to have more certainty. I think that there's always going to be this unpredictable. I think we're in a very, very influential period of time right now with a lot of cross currents. But yeah, I think that the trade stuff is settling out here, as you're seeing. I think that in the next 60 to 90 days, it's going to settle out. Mm-hmm. And you're already kind of seeing some animal spirits coming back into the market. We're seeing companies leaning in and looking for global growth. So I feel very bullish about the economy now and going forward. Global trade is massive and will continue to be massive and to grow. And I think getting a lot of that noise behind us is going to unlock a lot of growth here over the next 12, 24 months.
Finally, we end every interview with the same question, and that is at CEO.com, we believe the chances one gives is just as important as the chances one takes. When you hear that, who gave you a chance to get you to where you are today?
Oh, that's easy. A gentleman by the name of Terry Barr Sr., when I was 25 years old, I went in with this crazy idea to start up this company. And I remember now I know what the look on his face was when I was laying this out for him. Like, oh my God, okay, I'm going to listen to this kid. Let's see what he's got to say. And I gave this pitch and I said, yeah, so this is a company. I think what we'll do here is like, I'll put in the sweat equity and you put in the capital and we'll be partners. And he said, Bryan, I don't know what sweat equity is, but I know what equity is and capital is. So I'll match you dollar for dollar. And that's what we did. And he didn't have to. He could have kicked me out of that office, and but he didn't. He gave me a chance. Maybe he saw something. I don't know. But that really kicked off my my entrepreneurial career, and I don't think I could have done it without him.
That's incredible. Bryan, thank you so much for joining us, man. You've had an incredible career. What an incredible company you're running. Thanks for everything you do. Seriously, thanks for coming on.
It was my pleasure. It was great talking with you, Clint.
Appreciate it, man.